So, I love creating content in general. As you may all know, I've recently started this TIF podcast. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from a podcast? Which is one of the key questions people tend to ask themselves before they take the plunge to actually starting a podcast. The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and it's ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this. Basically, I love using Anchor. It's an extremely easy app to use. First of all you need to do is just download the app either on iOS or Android. I personally use it on Android. Register, which takes literally less than 1 minute. Once you've registered, you are ready to go. All you need to do is set up your profile and hit the record button. You've got multiple resources available to you in the form of background music, jingles, etc. You name it. So if you always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Oh, welcome to the TIF podcast. This is episode 6. I'm joined by one of my good friends. Alex, just let them know where they can find you on social media and your YouTube channel, etc.
Yeah, so basically, you can find us on Twitter and also on YouTube. On YouTube, it's Canon for a TV, and Twitter handle is Canon for a TV. And TC, thanks for having me on this podcast. Thank you very much.
No, absolutely welcome, Alex. So we've got a few topics that we'll certainly be discussing today within this episode between myself and Alex. The first one, of course, will be the Premier League fixtures that took place over the weekend. So me and Alex are both Arsenal fans, just to get that out of the way. And we'll definitely be discussing the Arsenal-Tottenham match first. The result itself over the weekend.
Well, I think the one that kind of stuck out for me more than anything else, Arsenal apart, Liverpool, they seem to be choking again. I think it's more than 20 years since they last won the league, and now at the business end of things, a draw against Everton is not the desired result they would have liked. And on the other hand, you've got Man City, who seem to be just going forwards and upwards. So if I had to put my money on the two teams, I would definitely put my money on Man City to win the league again and maybe have a dominant, maybe 2 or 3 more seasons. Chelsea against my second favourite Arsenal team as Fulham. Quite sad. I think it seems like Fulham are destined to be relegated. Quite a shame. They've had how many managers now since they came back to Premiership? 2 managers.
Well, 2. They're on their 3rd now with Scott Parker.
Yeah, so a shame with Ranieri. I think they should have probably given him more time, let him rebuild the team and try and fight their way back into the Premiership.
I believe they will certainly regret getting rid of Ranieri. What do you make of the...
Sorry, say that again? I kind of cut out there. What do I make of it?
What do you make of the Scott Parker appointment at Fulham?
It's a good one to try and steady the ship. I think he's been there for the best part of 4 years, 3-4 years. So would be familiar with Scott Parker. It's just a shame it's come to this, And I think, like I said before in my opening words, I think that Fulham are destined to go down. And if they can keep hold of Scott Parker, give him the time, maybe throw some money to him, he might just be the right man. But look, these days in modern football, the owners of football teams, they don't have much patience. They want instant success, which is a real shame, because you have to give not only the coaches and the managers. You have to give the whole, setup some time to, come to fruition. But Scott Parker, is he the right person? Yeah, I think he is.
I'll just add on what you're saying. It's essentially a long sort of long-term plan you need to put into place. And Fulham, as you said, they want quick success. They went out and spent £100 million in the summer, and to me, that is pretty much trying to take a shortcut. They went and spent money on players that are pretty much maybe third or fourth tier players. The people like Andre Schürrle, who didn't cut it at the big clubs, they've ended up getting him, and I can't imagine how much he's earning over there. It's gonna be a free fall, in my opinion, for Fulham down the leagues. It reminds me of the situation with Portsmouth a few years back, if you remember.
Yeah. There's similar tones there. And like I said, it's modern football. People demand success, not like tomorrow. They want instant success like now. So like I said, I just hope they give Scotty Parker, the time and with some money. But like you said, they spent a lot of money.
I think they spent the most in the league, to be honest.
They did.
Yeah, only to get relegated. But of course, as you say, this is modern football. These things happen. Brendan Rodgers, first game against Watford. What did you make of that result? 2-1 Leicester. Well, Watford, sorry.
Well, yeah, when I watched the match, I saw it was 1-1, only to be told that Watford snatched the winner in the 9 seconds of injury time. I was actually surprised that Brendan Rodgers left Celtic to come back into the Premiership.
It was an odd decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how many seasons had he been at Celtic? Just is it 2 seasons?
2 or 3, I believe. But he was building a massive legacy there, in my opinion. Gone a season unbeaten. I think they'd done a treble or something along those lines during his time there.
So, you know what, Tisha? The impression I get from that appointment is that maybe he feels he has unfinished business in the Premiership. I mean, why? You've got a successful team in Celtic, all bar a good run in the Champions League. Why would you come back into the Premiership? For me, that was a strange one.
To me, I think it's Brendan Rodgers has never really had the respect that he believes he deserves as a manager. Obviously, doing what he did at Celtic, yes, great achievements, but it's still in the Scottish League at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So I do believe it's sort of a redemption task on his part.
Absolutely.
He wants to redeem himself and get that big job yet again.
But you see, with Leicester City...
people, do you know what? I was sitting there thinking people are sort of stuck in that nostalgic era when Leicester City won the league. They'll never repeat that. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's as much as that is one of my greatest sporting achievements in my lifetime, really. It's never going to be repeated, and there's that nostalgic feeling that they can do it again.
Well, you know what? Like we've spoken about Fulham and Scotty Parker situation. The team has money. They're a mid-table team at most, and I guess again the patience. If they do have the patience, give him time to rebuild the team. Get rid of some of the players there. They might spring 1 or 2 surprises. But to say that they'll probably win or they're going to challenge again from the Premier League, I can't see that again in my lifetime.
No, of course not. It's just that nostalgic feeling, really, that they believe they can do it again. But of course, it wasn't a good start for Brendan Rodgers. Ended up losing 2-1 to Watford. Last minute, as you say, last minute winner, and I think it was Gray who scored the goal.
That's right.
For Watford.
And wasn't Jamie Vardy? Did he got injured as well? Didn't he? I think.
I'm sure Jamie Vardy got injured. Yeah, obviously. Let me just double check that to clarify. Sure. But I'm certain that he got injured. He scored a goal for Leicester. Of course, he's a goal-scoring machine. But yeah, I do believe Jamie Vardy suffered an injury on that particular day. So let's just move on to another fixture, which is West Ham Newcastle. What did you make of that result? 2-0 to West Ham.
I'm not really surprised, and I didn't see the match. I just saw the result. Really, I've got not much to say about that. I mean, I know Rafa Benitez. He's a legend at Liverpool.
Great manager.
I'm actually surprised that he stuck it out with Newcastle, up until this point, because I don't think he's been given any kind of amount of funds to invest, has he? I think.
I always say Newcastle are really lucky to have Rafa Benitez.
Very, very lucky.
Extremely lucky.
Very lucky. Yeah, I'm surprised at the result. Very, very surprised at the result, because I thought I'm not sure the last couple of matches that Newcastle have won, whether they've won or lost. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised that West Ham did beat them. It was 2-0, wasn't it? I think
it was 2-0. Newcastle had actually gone on a great run up until now. I believe they'd won their last 3 or 4 games. I know certainly they'd won their last 4 games at home, which they hadn't done in a very, very long time. But yeah, they've ended up obviously losing to West Ham. What do you make of Declan Rice and the whole situation with Declan Rice?
I haven't read too much into the Declan Rice situation, to be honest. I know he's is he wanting to play for the England team now, or
he's switched over now. He's switched over. Yeah, and he obviously got on the score sheet as well at the weekend, so hence I brought him up. But fantastic young player. But he's a lot of Irish people are certainly not happy with him in regards to that whole situation.
I think we'll put a can of worms there. But do you know what? I'm not sure how he qualifies to switch over, but I guess there's a loophole there, and he's made the most of the loophole. And good luck to him. Good luck to Declan. But you're right to say that a lot of Irish people are not happy that he switched allegiance over to England.
100%, but he didn't represent Ireland in a competitive match, and that was the loophole.
Right. Okay.
Played in friendlies, so that's why he's ended up being able to switch. But they need to sort of close that loophole. But that's a story for another day. Wolves, Cardiff. What do you make of Cardiff's situation? So Wolves won 2-0.
Yeah. Do you know? I think Cardiff are. I mean, I've already ticked them off. I think they're going to be relegated. The manager. I was actually surprised that they were promoted, but I've really labelled them to be relegated this season. I can't see anyhow they're going to get out from that situation that they're in there. Wolves, I do love Wolves. I mean, the manager is I forgot his name now.
Nino Espirito Sanchez or something along those lines. I can never say his name, to be honest.
the Portuguese Revolution.
Yes.
I do like the way they play over there. I really like the way they expand to football, and I would love them to stay in the Premier League for many seasons.
They're currently in the Europa League spots, and I believe when their Chinese owners took over, their aim was to be in the Champions League by 2022 or something of that sort.
They're on course. They're on course.
Fully on course, yeah. They've built a fantastic team, and do you know what? I actually enjoy watching Wolves every single weekend.
Unless they play against Arsenal.
Well, of course, yeah. Let's see. That I will admit too.
But like I said, the Portuguese Revolution over there, I mean, I do like the way they play. The ball on the ground, 1-2 touches, a lot of movement there. A good team, a really attractive team. Really, really attractive team there.
Very enjoyable to watch. So we move on. Man United 3, Southampton 2. Thoughts on that one, Alex?
Another one. When I saw within the first 5-10 minutes, the notification on my phone flashed up. It was 1-0 to Southampton. I thought, right, okay. But then it was false hope, and I saw Man United put it back, and then they eventually were 3-2 winners. Look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's done a fantastic job.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up to that as well.
Yeah, likewise. However, I think at the business end, because I think they still have some big games to be played. Namely against Arsenal. Yeah, we're playing against them
next week.
Next week, Yep. So as much as I admire the work that he's done there with Man U, I think they're going to be dropping some points.
100%, yeah. It's going to be a battle to obviously get into the Champions League for all the teams involved. Essentially, the team sitting from 3rd all the way to 6th. But Man United do still have a tough list of fixtures to come. So they've got us coming up on the 10th of March, I believe.
That's right. Yep.
They also have, let's have a look. Give me a second. They've got Watford, Wolves, West Ham, Everton, Man City. They still have to go to City. They're hosting City. They're hosting Chelsea back-to-back within the space of 4 days. And they've got Huddersfield and Cardiff. So that doesn't look so difficult, but it's those two Man City games and Chelsea games that will obviously make their season, I do believe. And along the way, they can certainly draw either Wolves or Watford. So it's going to be extremely difficult for them. Next fixture here, Crystal Palace Burnley. Thoughts on that? 3-1 to Crystal Palace.
I do actually like Crystal Palace. I do like the way that Hodgson has got them playing, and they're another team who I thought they were probably going to be the favourites to be relegated or just above the relegation zone, but they come up trumps, and there was talk of that. Of course, we've known for quite a few years, TC, that Arsenal need a winger, and there's a certain player at Crystal Palace that people were talking about a few months ago that maybe he would be ideal for Arsenal. I'm not so sure about that, but the bottom line is, Hodgson has done fantastic work with Crystal Palace there, but Benteke, he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? At Liverpool, he failed. At Crystal Palace, he's not the main man, is he? But
I always say, obviously, you get service from Andres Townsend and Zaha out wide, but I can't seem to figure what's gone wrong there. A high-valued player in the transfer market at one point when he moved from Villa to Liverpool, but it seemed as if his career stalled since then, and I can't see Crystal Palace hanging on to him for a while. They've obviously got Batshuayi on loan, who's got 2 and 2 now. He scored at the weekend as well, so I can't see him hanging on at Palace for a while. Obviously, Roy Hodgson has said he'll stick with him. He'll sort of try and instill some confidence in him to get him to score again, but he's been on a terrible downhill slide.
Yeah, he's still an international, isn't he? Does he still play for? Is it Belgium?
Yeah. He plays second fiddle to Lukaku, of course, but he still represents his country.
Yeah, but Roy Hodgson, he's done a good job with Crystal Palace. Really, really good.
100% agree. Brighton Huddersfield will breeze through that one. 1-0 to Brighton. Again, Chris Hughton, fantastic job he's done over there.
Do you know what? I had Brighton to lose. I thought they were lost against Huddersfield, but he's pulled it out of the bag again, hasn't he?
I know, they might survive.
Do they remain in the relegation zone, or are they just above the relegation zone? I can't remember.
Brighton are currently 15th in the table with 30 points, and they're 5 points clear off the relegation.
Right, okay.
With 10 games to go.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. So, again, like we said before, TC, in football, things can change very, very quickly. Very quickly. But Chris Hughton, well done. Good luck to him. But like I said, I was very surprised that they beat Huddersfield. I know Huddersfield are down at the bottom. Is it bottom position?
Literally, they're sitting right at the bottom. So it doesn't look too good for them either. We spoke about this briefly at the top of the episode. Man City, Bournemouth. Man City ended up winning 1-0. Very, very tight game for City, in my opinion. I think this is the second game they've come away with a 1-0 victory. The previous game as well, they won 1-0. And they always say this is a sign of champions, if people are grinding out results.
Yes, absolutely. Pep Guardiola would be very happy, because as much as they play, pretty, tiki-taki football, expansive football, he'll be happy that they can grind out the results. And it's a sign of a champion, or, a winning, league team there, so, yeah.
Of course,
I don't want to throw in the deep end, but, out of Liverpool or Man City, which team would you prefer to win the Premier League?
I couldn't stand Liverpool winning the league, I'm sorry. And you know what? And I believe that's the general consensus around the country.
Is that sure?
their fans will be absolutely unbearable. Yeah, I can't. I've got Liverpool. I've got friends that support Liverpool, and I couldn't stomach it, to be honest. It would be absolutely horrendous. So that is my personal thought on that. With Man City, we're sort of used to it now. You know, they win the league. They do it season in, season out. They play absolutely well. Last season, they blew everyone away. And of course, this season, it's been a bit more tight for them. But I reckon they'll see it out.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion is I don't want one team to dominate the Premier League. But saying that, I do love the way that Man City play, because I would hope that Arsenal would aspire to be something as near as possible to the way that Man City plays.
We had that at one point. At one point, we had that. I believe the time when we got to the Champions League final, a couple of seasons before that and after that, we were playing that kind of expansive football, one touches, triangle football, moving into space and all that sort of good stuff that people like to see. But over the years, in particular the last 2-3 years, we've evolved into this sort of... we still play good football, don't get me wrong, but it's no longer like it were. We used to be called Barcelona Light back in the day.
Yeah,
but we've certainly evolved into something completely different now. So let's slightly move on from that. And Arsenal Tottenham, terrible result for us, of course, but great not to come away with a defeat, in my opinion. But we should have won the game. That's as simple as that, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so disappointing. However, I did predict like 3 or 4 weeks ago on my YouTube channel that we would get a point, and I would be happy with a point. But looking at the performance, Unai Emery tactically outdid Pochettino there.
100%.
All bar the officiating there, the linesman, the referee, the penalty that literally wasn't a penalty, the penalty been retaken. I am disappointed. However, we've got to remember that we didn't lose. We left there with a point. I do feel so bad for Aubameyang because he missed the penalty. And actually, TC, I didn't see the penalty because I was so fearful. Because when I actually went to see Arsenal versus Cardiff at the Emirates, and I've seen the way that Aubameyang took the penalty, and it was so close to the goalkeeper, and I had visions of him taking the same style penalty and the goalkeeper saving the penalty. And what happened? Lloris saved the penalty.
And do you know what? I was sitting with my brother at the time. We were both watching it, and he said to me, the keeper's going to save this, the keeper's going to save this, and he took it and the keeper saved it. I think you could see in the body language. And someone pointed out to me on Twitter that Wenger used to have a policy of whoever wins the penalty does not take it, just in case of self-doubt.
So who else would you prefer taking the penalty?
It would have been difficult on that day, really, because obviously we had Ramsey would have stepped up and took that penalty.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Ramsey or Mickey could have stepped up and took that penalty. Ozil.
Yeah, but you know what? We've left with a point. We've left there with a point, and on my Twitter account, and even today when I did my fans' comments, a lot of people have been saying that maybe VAR would have made a big difference, because you could see with the offside, all bar Mustafi nudging Kane, there were five Tottenham players, who were offside.
Yep.
Would have rectified that situation there.
I don't believe VAR would have done that, because if you look in La Liga, there was a great example this season where VAR was in use, and there were horrendous decisions that were being missed. So, to me, I don't know. It's fairly difficult to predict what VAR would do, but that one example I'm thinking of, I believe it involved Real Madrid, and there were horrendous decisions that were not being given. There were clear fouls and the usual offsides, but the balls were still going through. But hopefully next season all the injustices will be put away.
Yeah, Yeah.
So
Amen.
just to round up the episode very, very quickly, we'll talk about Nacho Monreal to Barcelona. Thoughts on that?
I did see the reports today, actually, in the Mirror online, and apparently Nacho Monreal and Alberto Moreno have been shortlisted to be targeted by Barcelona. Listen, last season, Monreal was my Arsenal player of the season because he's Mr. Reliable. He scores important goals, irrespective of his age. He
doesn't complain either.
Yeah, and he gives you 50% of both ways. What do I mean by that? His defense is as good as his attack. Both of them are just as good as. The North London derby, he had an absolute blinder there. I would be very, very surprised if Arsenal were to let him go. Listen, I know he's in his twilight years, and I know people are talking about Kolasinac, the tank. Going forward, fantastic. His defensive now
needs working on.
It needs a lot of work. So I would be very, very surprised and very sad if Arsenal do let Nacho Monreal go to Barcelona. Very, very sad.
I reckon they'll extend it by one more year.
Yeah.
And then hopefully see out his career with Arsenal. But fantastic player. Has been a great servant for us over the years. But it's been absolutely fantastic having you on, Alex. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Hopefully this will become a regular occurrence.
It's been a pleasure, TC. It's been a pleasure. I hope y'all can have me back on again.
100%. And just remind the audience where they can find you again on your social media platforms.
Yeah, so again, on YouTube, we are Cannon for the TV. We also have a website as well. I can't remember the website address. The Twitter handle is Cannon for the TV as well. You can find us on there with any updates and connect to our YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on to the episode 6 of the Topic is Football podcast, Alex. And I hope you have a good evening.
Likewise, TC. Have a good evening, and we'll be speaking very, very soon.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alex. Right, thanks for that, Alex.
Cheers. All right, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.